Welcome, one and all, to our Sunday gathering number 276. Hard to believe so much time has gone past. I'm Sandra Champlain, if we have not yet met. I am joined here today by the wonderful medium and friend, Chris Jacobs. He's the author of the book, A Life Far from Ordinary, My Life with Spirit. And he's been a longtime friend, and I'm just so delighted to share the Sunday gathering with him and with you, whether you're watching us live or watching the replay. Each week, we come together at this exact same time to do a few things. One is to uplift, to motivate, to share, to be part of a community. Another thing is to show the reality of the afterlife through our demonstration of mediumship, which will be a little bit later on. We also send healing, which right now is ever so important. We have a global group here on our gathering, people from all over the world. And I know there's hardships, there's devastation. We just recently had a flood 2 days ago. Our friends in Texas with many lives lost, 850 people rescued, and still a couple of dozen children that are missing. So we come together to inspire you, to uplift you, to empower you that you are a divine soul having a human experience. Your life matters, that you're not alone. And we're going to do everything we can really to have you be part of our community. And it is a global community on both sides of the veil. So we'll explain more of what happens as our Sunday gathering goes along. I know we've got some new friends here with us today and many returning friends, but we're here about 90 minutes-ish together. And just sit back, relax, be present. We have a chat box open. Always nice to know where you're from. Chris today will be doing our opening and closing prayers, as well as our address and our demonstration of mediumship. And I will be doing the reading today and also leading you into healing, some words for the week, some announcements, and all the music and things on the back end. Our theme today is ultimate independence. And maybe you got an idea what that is from that last clip, that ultimate independence. Well, we'll just let it unfold naturally as it will. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris for our opening prayer and say, welcome, one and all.
Thank you, Sandra. If you'd all like to join me as we get our evening underway. God, Eternal Spirit, you who gives us strength and courage, let us come together as one before your eternal love, but with heavy hearts, as we carry the weight of suffering that has touched a nation and indeed many across this world. In the wake of these devastating floods that have swept through communities, we seek your presence amid this chaos and your light in this time of darkness. Grant us the wisdom to understand in these times of trials, we are called not to despair, but to action. Help us to be the vessels of your compassion, extending our hands that we may help those who have lost so much. May our prayers rise like incense, carrying the names and in the needs of every soul affected by these waters. Strengthen our rescue workers, and comfort the families who now mourn the loved ones who were taken far too soon. Shelter those who have lost their homes, and sustain those who work tirelessly in their efforts of recovery. As we gather in this moment of reflection, may we find unity in our shared humanity and purpose in our collective response to suffering. Let this tragedy not divide, but draw us closer together in bonds of mutual care and understanding. Lord, we leave this in your tender care. Amen.
Thank you so much, Chris. All right, for the reading I have prepared for you. This past week, our friends in Canada and here in America celebrated our nation's independence, a powerful tribute to freedom. Today, I want us to expand that idea to its most profound conclusion. Let's talk about our soul's ultimate independence. This is a parable inspired by the wisdom of the first peoples, a story about a long, full life and the glorious freedom that waits at its end. On a high, flat land that touched the clouds lived an old elder. His face was a beautiful map of wrinkles, each line telling a story from nearly 100 winters. His life had been rich and complete. He had known the joy of love and the ache of loss. He had laughed so hard that tears streamed down his face. He had forgiven those who had wronged him, and he had been a good friend to many. He had taught the children, helped his neighbors, and learned that great lessons are available and what they can teach us. His body, which had once been so strong, was now tired and frail. The sturdy bow he once used leaned in the corner, and his quiver of arrows was empty. These earthly tools, along with aches in his bones and the shortness of his breath, had become a heavy weight that he carried every day. He had done all he had come here to do. One morning, a shadow passed over him. He looked up to see a majestic bald eagle, its white head bright against the endless blue sky. The eagle let out a sharp, clear cry, not of warning, but of invitation. It circled once, then soared towards the highest cliff edge, a place the elder had not visited since he was a young man. He felt a pull in his soul. With slow, careful steps, he began the long and difficult walk. Every rock on the path was a challenge, but he kept his eyes on the eagle, which circled patiently above, always just ahead, guiding him forward. Finally, he reached the breathtaking cliff's edge. The whole world stretched out below him. He stood at the very edge of all that he knew, the wind gently blowing through his thin gray hair. The eagle circled one last time, so close he could see the fierce, knowing intelligence in its golden eyes, and then it vanished into the sun. The elder stood alone, his journey complete. He was not afraid, he was at peace. In that moment of profound stillness, he heard the voice of his grandfather, a memory as clear as the eagle's cry. When you come to the edge of all that you know, the voice echoed in his heart, you must believe one of two things. Either there will be ground to stand on, or you will be given wings to fly. He closed his eyes, took one final, peaceful breath, and then gently let it go to release all of the struggle, the pain, and the weight of his long years. And in that instant, his spirit, a being of pure, weightless light, lifted from his tired body as easily as a feather on the wind. He did not become the eagle, but something far greater happened. He was given the eagle's gift of perspective. He soared effortlessly into the vast open sky, free from all earthly limits. From this glorious viewpoint, he looked down and saw his life's path not as a series of struggles, but as a beautiful winding river that had nourished the land. He saw the world as a bird does, not as obstacles, but as one flowing, interconnected whole. He looked up, and in the grand shapes of the clouds, he saw the smiling faces of his ancestors, their loving expressions, a silent, joyful welcome. He was not alone, nor had he ever been alone. He was home. He was, at last, truly and completely free. And isn't this the promise for our own souls? Our life on earth is a sacred journey meant to be lived fully, to love, to learn, to laugh, to serve others, and of course, to forgive. It is not something to be cut short. But when our work is done and our bodies are tired, death is not a fall into darkness. It is the edge of all we know. It is the moment we are asked to trust, the moment we finally let go of the weight and we are given wings. It is our ultimate independence, the moment our spirit is freed to soar with a higher wisdom, welcomed home by a love that has been waiting for us all along. Thank you for listening to my reading. And now we're going into our healing segment. Like I said, I know we have some new friends with us today. It's an opportunity to watch or close your eyes and just listen to some music, a beautiful song that I have picked for today. But those in the unseen world, when we have that silent intent, that personal prayer, however you wish to do it, I believe those in the unseen world can use our human energy and direct it to where it's needed. There's been enough scientific research done on the power of prayer, especially when several people come together. And we have over 100 people in our Sunday gathering here today. So let's see what we can do together. Now, each and every one of us, I believe, have a brilliant light that shines within us. And if you were to imagine the light glistening off the ocean or off a lake, that really bright light, that's what I like to think is within each one of us. But maybe we can imagine that light just shining bright and it just glowing to all those in need that need some healing, some upliftment, some encouragement. Certainly, there's devastation going on in the world, especially here in our home in the state of Texas. But I also know wherever you are in the world, there's pain, there's suffering. Maybe you need some too. So just let that golden light flow from you to where it's needed in the world. And after the song, the next voice you'll hear will be Chris's voice, and he'll be giving us our address. The song I've picked, I'd never heard of before, but I quite like it. It's called Hold Your Light by Crimson Circle. So I'll play that for you now. It's a beautiful video. And just take a moment and have that special request.
Thank you, Sandra, for that beautiful, beautiful song. It really is. And who knew it would mirror so many things that we're talking about tonight? So, welcome everybody. As we gather here this evening in the aftermath of what was American independence. Am I right? And I think it was on Friday. We don't celebrate that here in England, but we all know about it. And so I thought tonight I'd talk about the ultimate independence, that liberation that frees us from death. So as the air still carries those echoes of celebration for political freedom and for breaking those earthly chains that once bound a nation, let us consider a far more profound independence, one that transcends borders, governments, and everyday concerns that occupy so much of our daily lives. Let us explore ultimate liberation, freedom from humanity's oldest fear, and that is the fear of death. Human beings have lived under this shadow for what they perceive as a threat, the end of existence. This fear has shaped our religions, our philosophies, our very understanding of what it means to be human. It has driven us, to build monuments that will outlast our bodies, to even seek fame and fortune, or even try and preserve our names. Well, it's as if it could really somehow purchase more time. We cling so desperately to our youth, and yet we watch it slip through our fingers like sand. This fear of death is perhaps the most restrictive prison that we have ever created or known. It is a prison without walls, without guards, without locks, yet it constrains us more effectively than any physical barrier ever could. It haunts our dreams, out of the brave and slaves out of the free. What if this very foundation upon which this fear is built is a belief that death is an ending? This is not just mistaken, but it's fundamentally impossible, given the nature of existence itself. To understand true spiritual independence, we must first examine the nature of what we call death. In our materially focused world, we have become conditioned to believe that the consciousness, that spark of awareness that makes us who we are, is nothing more than a product of the brain. It's just chemistry, a complex but ultimately mechanical process that simply stops when the body fails. But this is a materialistic view. It's neither scientifically proven nor philosophically necessary, really. Indeed, it contradicts some of our most fundamental observations about nature and the reality itself. Consider then the first law of I can never get this word, thermodynamics. And that is, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's only transformed from one form to another. The energy that animates our bodies right now, the electricity firing through all our neurons and our, the chemical processes that sustain our lives, none of this energy can disappear when we die. So therefore, it has to transform. It changes form. It does not cease to exist. If we accept that consciousness is a form of energy and the growing body of evidence suggests that, then the consciousness must follow this fundamental law. It cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. The more deeply we investigate the consciousness, the more we can come to realize that it's not produced by the brain in the way that a factory produces goods. Rather, the brain appears to be moved like a radio receiver tuning in or translating a consciousness into forms that we ultimately recognize as thoughts, emotions, and even sensory experiences. When a radio breaks, we don't assume the radio waves have ceased to exist. We understand from basic science that the receiver has simply lost its ability to translate those waves into sound. Similarly, when the brain ceases to function, our consciousness does not just disappear. It simply loses the physical translator. Throughout history and across every culture and in every age, human beings have reported experiences that suggest the consciousness extends beyond physical death. We all know about near-death experiences that have been documented by the thousands, even by medical professionals. They reveal remarkably consistent patterns. The sense of leaving the body, encounters with our loved ones who are long since deceased, experiences of unconditional love and understanding, and quite often a reluctance to return to our physical life. These are not hallucinations of a dying brain, as quite a lot of skeptics would have us believe. The consistency across all cultures, across the world, and the verifiable information that people really could not have known, they're quite profound. And these leave a lasting transformation. These experiences produce something I believe to be called a body of evidence. They all point to something far more significant than just our brains misfiring. The ability, we have an ability that can access these states of consciousness that transcend ordinary waking awareness. In these states, we can experience our own continuity beyond the physical form. Yes, this is our belief, but it goes far beyond that. It's a direct knowing. It is revealed that the consciousness appears to play a fundamental role in the structure of reality, how we understand, how we live, how we go about our lives. Many observers can demonstrate that the consciousness and matter are far more intimately connected than our worldwide view assumes. Some of the world's leadest scientists or physicists now propose that the consciousness may be the fundamental ground of existence itself, with matter being a specialized form of the consciousness rather than consciousness being the product of matter. Why does this matter? Why should the continuity of the consciousness beyond physical death be considered liberating? Well, the answer lies in understanding how the fear of death has limited and constrained our potential. When we believe that death is an absolute end, every choice we make is colored by the scarcity of time, the scarcity of opportunity, the scarcity of experience. We hoard moments instead of savoring them. We postpone joy rather than, I'm sorry, I was going to say somewhere else, but I just feel that I need to say we postpone joy while we accumulate security, because that sounds so much better. We avoid risks that might lead to growth because we fear that might lead to loss. So the fear of death ultimately makes us small. It makes us selfish. It makes us desperate. And it drives us to seek immortality through moments and legacies, through having children who carry on our genes, through achievements that will outlast our bodies. But all of these were substitutes, pale shadows of a truth that we are immortal. when we truly understand, when we truly understand this, not just intellectually, but in the depths of our being, our essential nature cannot be destroyed. And that changes everything. Suddenly, we feel free to take those risks it requires. We're free to love without, without because we understand that our true resources are inexhaustible. This doesn't mean we become reckless with our physical life. On the contrary, understanding the continuity of the consciousness helps us appreciate this precious gift of, of our physical life. We understand that this particular combination of consciousness and matter is a unique perspective we call our individual self. But it is temporary and therefore infinitely valuable. But we also understand that losing this perspective is not the end of the story. It is simply the end of this chapter. So if we truly live from this understanding, what does it actually mean? How does this knowledge transform the way we engage with our daily world, our daily life? It frees us from the desperate accumulation that characterizes so much of our modern lives now, when we know that our essential self cannot be threatened. We stop trying to build walls of money, possessions, achievements that try to protect ourselves from mortality. We can be generous because we understand that our true wealth, our consciousness, our capacity for love, our ability to create and appreciate beauty cannot be taken away from us. It transforms our relationships. And when we understand that love transcends death, we're free to love more fully. We're free to be present in the moment. We stop holding back out of fear of loss. We stop trying to control and possess those we love because we understand that true connection exists at a level that death cannot touch. It revolutionizes our approach to challenge and suffering, much like we are now. When we know that our essential nature is indestructible, we can face difficulties with courage and curiosity rather than terror or avoidance. We understand that even the most challenging experiences are temporary because we understand from a deeper sense that we are forever. These are not threats to our essential being. We are awakening to that sense of purpose. We're starting to understand that the continuation of the consciousness, and we're starting to ask very different questions. What is this life for? What am I here to learn, to experience, to ultimately contribute? How can I use this precious opportunity of this physical incarnation to grow, to serve, to benefit, to love more fully? This understanding is not the privilege of a select few. It is not reserved for the mystics, saints, or even spiritual people. It is the birthright of every conscious being. Just as political independence was declared to be the natural right of all people, spiritual independence, freedom from death, is available to everyone who is willing to investigate their own deepest nature. You don't need to join any particular religion or adopt a certain set of values or beliefs. You don't need to achieve any special state of consciousness or perform particular practices. You just need to be willing to question the assumption of death. Is the end and the remain? That death is not the end, but let us remain open to that possibility that your essential nature is far more vast and enduring than perhaps you've ever been taught to believe. Find it through that deep connection of love. Experience those moments when the boundaries that separated selfhood dissolve and they touch something more infinite and eternal. Discover it through the act of service, recognizing that your deepest fulfillment comes not from protecting small, desperate things, but separate yourself from participating in those things for something far more larger, touching the timeless source of creativity that flows through each and every one of us, but belongs to us all. Is the path matters less than the willingness to walk it. The method matters less than this sincere investigation. What matters is courage to question our most fundamental assumptions about who and what we are. When we as individuals awaken to this deathless nature, the effects ripple outward in ways that transform not just our own lives, but the lives of everyone that we encounter. Fear, after all, is contagious, but so is fearlessness. A person who has touched their own deathless nature, brings a different energy in every interaction. They're not desperately trying to get something from others to fill that inner lack or that inner lacking. They can be present, generous, authentic, because they are open not to protecting the small, vulnerable self. They believe that cannot be destroyed. So that frees us, that liberates us. You know, not everyone tries to seek power over others because of their fear-based beliefs that create so small, narrow thinking. They are natural teachers, not because they have all the answers, but because they have discovered the most important question of all. Who am I, really? And living from that answer to that question, we can give others the permission to investigate it for themselves. Consider how many of our social problems stem from the fear of death. Competition for resources becomes desperate, and we believe we have only one life to live. Conflicts between nations intensify when our leaders feel that they must secure their country's survival at any cost. Environmental destruction accelerates when we cannot imagine existing beyond the span of one single human lifetime. But when we understand our fundamental continuity, everything shifts. Suddenly, the well-being of future generations becomes important as our own immediate survival, because we understand that we will be a part of those future generations in some form. The health of the planet becomes a personal concern because we recognize that our consciousness is ultimately connected with the consciousness of all life. The artificial barriers between peoples, race, nationality, religion, they'll begin to dissolve when we recognize that the essential nature of who we are transcends these temporary identities. It becomes impossible to dehumanize others when we understand that the consciousness looking out through their eyes is fundamentally the same consciousness looking out through our own. This understanding doesn't require for us to withdraw from the world or to adopt another worldly lifestyle. On the contrary, it frees us to engage more fully with life because we are no longer paralyzed by that fear of death, that fear of loss. So when we understand that our deathlessness nature can be fully practical and utterly mystical at the same time, we can plan for a future while remaining completely present. We can work diligently towards goals while holding those goals lightly. We can look deeply while remaining free from possessiveness. This is not detachment, someone who just doesn't care. This is actually engagement of somebody who cares deeply, that they're willing to love without guarantees, to serve without expecting reward, and to give without keeping any score. So here we stand. For me, it was a summer day, and I assume it is for most of you. We stand in the afterglow of celebrating one nation's independence from external rule. I invite you to declare your own state of independence from internal tyranny, the tyranny of fear, of death, that has kept you in chains for far too long. Let this declaration require no revolution, or any overthrow of any government. It requires only the courage to investigate your own deepest nature and a willingness to discover that you might be far more than you have ever been taught to believe. It requires the wisdom to recognize that the very desire for immortality that drives human behavior is actually the intuitive recognition that we already are. We seek what we already possess. We long for what we've never truly lost. So the question is not whether we will just live beyond the death of your body, because you already are living beyond the birth of your body. The question is whether you recognize the truth and allow it to transform how you live each precious moment in this temporary body. In fact, valuable moment, we all have those valuable moments that this physical incarnation presents. But you are not held prisoner by them. The door has always been open. The chains have only ever been imaginary. You have always been free. Now will you walk into the sunlight of that freedom and live from that deathless place within you. This is the ultimate independence. This is the liberation that surpasses all of us. This is the truth that sets you free, not just for this life, but for all eternity. I leave you with that thought. You are deathless.
Thank you so much, Chris. Very wise words from your soul to all of ours, giving us a lot to consider and actions to take. We are deathless. My friends, we are going to move now into our demonstration of mediumship. And this is where some friends from the spirit world are going to tell us just how close they really are. It's important to us on our Sunday gatherings to bring through a few members of our community from the spirit world because they speak for all of our loved ones, letting us know just how close they are and that they are still alive. Yes, although our bodies might leave the planet, that energy cannot be destroyed. So our loved ones are living in a land very similar to what we can see here, I believe. I say there's colors that we can't experience, and there's music that we've never heard, and so much more. It's a glorious world. I think our world is within that world. But on our Sunday gathering, it's an opportunity. There'll be a few people in our community here that will receive readings. However, I know, and I know I say this all the time, these people that step forth from the spirit world are really here for all of us. Just as my reading today and Chris's beautiful words and his prayer and his address really are to touch the hearts and minds of everyone, if you listen in close enough to these spirit friends' messages, you get to see just how close they are. And don't be surprised if some of the words and some of the messages you feel, ooh, I could take a little bit of that myself. So I think whoever plans it from the behind the scenes knows who is with us here today. Now, that being said, there will be some of you that will get a reading today. We'll just bring a handful of folks from the spirit world in due to time, but they really are here on behalf of all of our loved ones. Shortly, we'll hear a happy song, and I want everybody to picture your loved ones surrounding you, living a good life, feeling young and whole and happy because they've never left you. They continue to learn and grow on the other side. However, they can easily be right here with us. So after we hear this song, Chris has his own way of working with the spirit world. He will begin by saying he's got a man or a woman or girl or boy, whoever it may be, that steps forward from the spirit world, and he'll give a description of this person. We want everybody on the edge of your seat to think, oh, is this my person? Now, the one thing they all have in common is they're no longer breathing air here on the earth. They are in the spirit world or heaven or the afterlife, whatever you call it. But it could be a friend, it could be a relative, it could be somebody a little bit distant, but that we know. We never know exactly how they work. So you'll hear Chris give a description of this person that's stepping forward, introducing themselves to him. He will give this description. And if you recognize this person as somebody that you know from your life, again, no longer walks in this world, we want you to press your raise hand button. So we want you now to look on your device, where is that raise hand button, and press it for me. Some of you that are on tablets or on phones, you might need to press 3 little dots first, and then that raise hand button will appear. So again, you're going to press that button when the medium demonstration happens, if you can recognize the spirit person that's being described. All right. So we'd like you to be able to recognize all the information because we do have well over 100 people with us today. So if Chris just says, I've got a mom in the spirit world, you can imagine we get a lot of hands up. So wait till he finishes his description. And then if you understand all the information, hit that raise hand button. Now, it does sometimes happen that there's more than one person that can understand all the information. So Chris will continue working, giving some more bits of information, because you'll see now that raise hand button has changed to lower hand. So you can press that now and put your hand down. If you should work with our medium here on the Sunday gathering or any time in the world, please do us a favor and let the medium do the work. All we need from you is just a clear yes, no, or I don't know to the information the medium brings, okay? No feeding the medium, no giving information. We want everybody to leave here today or any demonstration or any reading knowing that the medium truly is working with our loved ones. All right, now just a reminder, if you're not the person getting the reading, listen in as if this is just for you because as magic happens, I tell you, each and every demonstration, I get something out of each and every reading. Okay, so these people are speaking on behalf of all of our loved ones who are very much a part of our life. With that, I'm going to play a feel-good piece of music. You can sing it if you know it, raise the vibration a little bit, and just sit with this feeling of, yeah, they are around us, okay? May not be able to see them, but we are deathless, as Chris said. So I have a feeling you might know the song. I've got a strong feeling you might know the song. Here we go. Oh, I love that song. I'm sure you could see me singing away. All right, it's time for our demonstration. I'm going to turn it back to our wonderful Chris.
Thank you, Sandra. I'll just reiterate what Sandra said as well. You know, not everybody's going to get a message tonight, but I want you to understand one thing, and this was actually brought home to me the other night in the demonstration. The information I gave out to one person, everything was understood by somebody else as well, except for one tiny little detail which made it for the person it was, but yet it still spoke to this other person. So Spirit have a wonderful way of delivering a message to you, although I may not deliver it to you, but it'll speak to your heart. So know that you've been touched, that you've been blessed, that your loved one has been here with you. Okay. As I link in here to the spirit world, I want to bring forward a lovely young man. And I do feel he was quite a joker in life because I do feel I want to be going boo to people. I want to be telling funny jokes. You know, I found a great pleasure in scaring you to after death, but not, out of malice. I know that there was this young man that he was into the outdoor lifestyle. He really loved the outdoors. And I kind of feel that I want to be hiking or going on these walks, long walks. I know that he would have loved very much of nature. And I do feel there was, around his life, shall we just say he took a wrong turn or a wrong path in the end of his life here. Is this resonating with anybody yet? Please.
Thank you very much. If you understand this information, press your raise hand button. Chris, we have Jen and Deborah that can both understand the information, and Geraldine.
All right. Well, at least we're down to just 3. That's not bad. I could speak to all 3, please.
All right. Well, let's
When
turn
I
to
see you like this, then I can know who I feel drawn to
Oh,
as well.
all right.
Okay. Can I just first come well, first of all of you, you understand everything, please?
Jen? Yes. Deborah?
Yes.
Yes. And Geraldine. You have to press your unmute button, Geraldine, if you can understand it all.
Okay. I
Okay, we
will.
just have the two
Okay.
ladies.
I will add in here as well. It did feel like there could have been something, it felt almost accidental around his passing. Would that resonate?
Jen?
Possibly.
Possibly. And
Okay.
Deborah?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Deborah, I'm with you. But carry on listening, Jen, please, because sometimes we have a way of hopping back and forwards between you two. Okay. So you understand all this, Deborah, please.
Oh, yes.
You understand this personality that was so loving that wanted to share.
Oh,
Yes, no?
yes.
Thank you. And that he really was, but yet I felt also, would you understand there was a certain amount of reservedness with him as well?
Definitely.
Because it seemed to, doesn't flow naturally, does it really, when you think about it like that? But yet I know he held so much love. And I know that as he comes forward to you, I almost want to choke you to death because I want to give you such a big hug. Do you understand that? Sorry, I don't want to kill you, but I just want to choke you to death with its love.
I want to hug him too.
Okay. And I do feel that I kind of feel very close. He would be quite a little bit of a mum's boy. Would you understand that?
Yes.
You know, and but he keeps showing me this, I need to get out there. I need to go and be out the outdoors, making especially, would you understand, making rough camp or something like that?
Yes.
Because I feel like I'm putting like branches or twigs or something together. I mean, so it's quite good, skilled in the outdoor way. That would be correct,
Yes, I believe so.
you know? And I do feel that too, that I also feel a little bit of what I want to say is I do feel that he could be, I want to call him a bit of a botanist. So I do feel he would know and understand different plants.
Yeah, I can see to some extent.
Okay, I'm not saying he's right up there with David Attenborough or anything like that, but he did understand quite a lot of things too. And you know, would you understand that there was sometimes with his mind would be in a very different place?
Definitely.
You know, I have to be honest here. He called it a sickness. Would you resonate with that?
Yes.
Because he just kept saying this sickness, and it would lead him to do some random things. Would that be correct?
That is correct.
You know, but he said, I tried so hard. I tried so hard to be correct. I tried so hard for people to understand me, to get me, but they didn't.
It's
You know,
true.
okay. And it became, I just felt that it made me feel that some parts of his life became hard work because of this. Do you understand
Yes.
that to be correct? But he thanks
Yes.
you and brings so much love to you because he said you tried to shield him, you tried to protect him, you tried to be the voice for him at times. Would you understand that to be correct?
Yes, definitely.
And he thanks you for that and just said you are shielded more ways than you could ever imagine. I see now what you truly did for me, and the way that I reacted to some of that was not called for, and I'm sorry. And he apologizes for some of his reactions.
I don't feel he needs to apologize.
I know, but he wanted to bring that forward because I do feel what a beautiful soul, you know. He still has that sense of adventure within him now that he always had, you know. he really is so bright and so what can I say? He just feels so much bigger than what I imagine a person to be. Because he shines, but he always shone, didn't he? He always shone in your eyes,
Yes, he did.
you know. And he says, "I tried to talk to you. Did you hear me? I've tried. I've tried to tell you I'm here. I'm here."
Oh,
Have you
yeah, I believe he's here with me.
He says, "I've tried to do this. In fact, I know he should have visited you in dream state twice."
Yeah, he did. That was a while ago.
Yes. But he says, you asked me to come again. You asked me to come into it. You don't need that quite as much as you think you do, because you know I'm here. You know I'm with you. By the way, he loves that photo with that big smile. Would you understand that?
He looks what?
He loves that photo with the big smile.
Oh, yes.
He says, "I
Yeah.
like that one. I like that one." And if I've got this right as well, there should be. Have you been looking or just made another one larger? I was going to say blown up, but that sounds terrible. But made another photo larger. Have you been looking at making another photo of him larger?
I recently made two of them larger.
Right, thank you. And rookie mistake there. I was going to say two at the beginning, but then I thought, no, that's my fantasy mind going off, you know. But he loves the way you arrange things here too. You've still got his bag. Have you got his bag or his rucksack
I'm not sure.
at
Probably.
all?
It seems like I have a ton of his things.
Have you got stuff in the back of a cupboard or a wardrobe or whatever you call it?
Yeah, I believe so.
His rucksack's there, he said. It's there. So you need to check that. I just feel
Okay.
this check. And would you understand him leaving little notes, or little notes would be important?
Yeah, I would say last year is the last time I found one of those.
Okay. Because I know that these are important, and it's like I've still got these here. I still look at them occasionally,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
because it makes you feel closer to him too. I
yes,
want a cushion or a pillow. A pillow, a cushion. Would you understand that? Just yes or no?
yes.
Have you made this cushion?
No, I did not make it.
Okay. I know this cushion's important, but I always felt like I wanted to talk about some shirt or some article of clothing either being talked about or made into a cushion.
I haven't done that.
Okay. All right. I must have left you, Deborah. Deborah, I'm so sorry. I must have moved on here. But I know that there was a cushion here with this beautiful, beautiful soul that I do feel that it has the essence of him. Would you understand that?
Yeah, I could tell you more of the one I'm thinking about if you want.
No, 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 that's fine. That's okay. That's between you and him. But
Okay.
thank you for allowing
Thank
me
you
to
so much. And that sounds
be part of this
that's just
message.
him.
All right. So God bless you and thank you very much
God
for
bless you.
working with me. Okay, as I move on, I do feel I want to talk about an article of clothing, and I'm looking very much at a shirt that would have been made into a cushion or a pillow. And I think it's 3, 4 buttons on it, which would be on this cushion. I do feel like I'm talking about a male, that this would have been belonging to a male. With how many we got there, Sandra?
We have Janet and Emily both.
Okay. So, do you both understand this, please?
Yes.
But Emily says yes. Janet, if you can unmute yourself, Janet. It might be an accident that she raised her hand.
Okay.
All
All right.
right.
Well,
Work with
we'll
Emily
work with
there.
Emily. So you would understand a shirt, please, being made into a cushion.
Yes.
And and is it right that there are three or four buttons on this cushion?
Yes.
Okay. I do feel that somebody still hugs this very tightly. Would that make sense to you?
Yes.
Like I'm holding it as though it's the most important thing in my life, because it makes you feel close to them. Is correct.
Yes.
You know, I feel with this gentleman as he comes forward, would you understand he would have loved a good laugh, please?
Yes, absolutely.
And I have to say, he told the most terrible jokes.
Yep.
Some of them are just not making sense in my mind. All right. But that was part of his personality. He wanted to make people happy. Will you understand that?
Yes.
That he wanted to make you happy, and that kind of felt like his sole purpose in life, to make people happy, make them feel wanted, and make them feel loved. But
Yeah.
as well with him, would you understand that there was another side to him where sometimes he felt he would withdraw into himself? Would you understand that?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I've got this feeling that I want to talk about, make everybody else happy, but me, it seemed very hard for him to do it for himself,
Um, that may be true.
because I'm sorry, I have to go with him because it just makes me feel so strong that, that this is to deflect that thinking of self, he would think of others,
Yeah, very selfless. Yeah.
you know. Um, did he love, this smells like burnt meat. Did he love barbecues?
Yes, he did.
Would you understand burning some meat or something?
Um, yeah, I can understand that. Yes.
Okay, because I feel like I've got a really good cut. It's a real good cut of beef or something. I can see ribs on it, so everything. And then I've just been, I don't know, chatting or doing other things, and it nearly caught on fire. But we rescued it. He said, "Wow, I rescued it." Would you understand that?
I can take that. Yes.
Okay, well, because I just feel that with him, it was, just this memory he wanted to share with you. And I want to talk about here, in the backyard, as I look in here, would you understand trees at the bottom of the backyard?
Um, yes.
And I'm thinking that off towards the right as I'm looking here. But I want to talk about a view that as though he would sometimes just gaze that way. He loved the landscape. Would that make sense?
Yes, he loved his backyard. Yes.
I loved, and would you understand? Did he build things in this yard?
Yes, he did.
Because I want like different fixtures, different fittings, all these building stuff and creating. In fact, I feel like I keep changing the garden around. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
You know, it's like I almost feel like the poor plants didn't get a chance to get a foothold sometimes before they were moved. You know,
Mhm.
but he loved it. That was his outlet. Would that make sense to you?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It was very much his outlet here too, and I just feel I want to talk about a really regular guy here, just a really regular person.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
he was down to earth, hardworking, and he just loved his family. It didn't matter what was going on beyond the world because he had everything he needed right there. Did that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
And he said, "You're my special girl. You're my special girl." And I know he loved you beyond anything I can imagine, you know. And he just says, he's right there with you. But would you understand that sometimes life's not been, shall we say, very easy for you?
Yes.
And he says, "I'm here. I'm here. I'm walking with you. I understand it. It's not great, you know, Um, I just feel like my body hurts. Does that make sense to you? So I don't know whether this is you or him.
Yes.
Okay, because I just feel, are we talking about you?
Yes.
Because I just feel my body's hurting, and I just feel that sometimes that's a bit hard for you to get into the day, shall we say?
Yeah. Yes.
You know, he says, I understand. I'm with you. I really am with you, and you stay strong and keep your mind right. And you must understand what he means by that. He just says, keep your mind right. I'm here. I am with you. And he just loves you so much. And that's what he wanted to share with you about that love. That, you know, you've got the strength because look what you've been through. And it says here that strength comes from him too, because he is delivering that to you in bucket loads. And I love you lots. Not me, him, sorry. He loves you lots. All right? So take that with his love. And I thank you for allowing me to read for you.
Thank you so much, Chris.
You're more than welcome. God bless you. I do feel like I want to talk about a lady that comes forward, and I feel like I want to talk about a wife, and I feel like I want to talk about there would have been two wives in spirit. So I don't know whether you're a lucky man or a poor man, or whichever one you is, but I just feel like we're talking about there would be two wives in spirit here. But I feel like I want the second wife coming forward, and I know that we had. I would just feel that this lady was a strong personality. She loved life here. She was kind of one of the things wouldn't let things, don't want to say let go, but she would certainly grasp opportunities when she could, you know? And I kind of feel like in some of the decisions, she was right and she overrode you. So, which I'm going to say is a typical normal marriage, I think. But, I know that she's very grateful because of the love and the strength that you gave her, and the fact that you uprooted and changed all your life for her. That makes sense to anyone.
Yes, we have our friend Pete here with us.
Oh, hi. Hello, Peter.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hi. I know I've given you a reading before, but it's a long time ago and I can't
Long
remember
time
it.
ago
So,
now. Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
But would you understand? I don't know if I knew this or not, but I don't think I did. Did you have two wives, please?
Yes,
Both in
not at the same
spirit?
time, both in spirit. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, well, I hope not. But I do, you would understand with this, your second wife, what I just said, would that be correct?
yes,
You know, I know she talks about you still having conversations with her. Do you understand?
yes,
That you still
yes,
have these conversations with her. She knows you still miss her a lot, and she knows that when you keep feeling like you're weakened because of this. Does that correct?
yes.
And she says here, but you're strong. You're so strong. Look how you helped me. Look what you did for me. You
I
know,
tried.
look how you gave up such a lot for me, for us. If
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yes,
And, and she says here that didn't want to see these emotional tears anymore with you because
oh,
she says, you're strong, Peter, and I loved that strong man, and I still do. I am with you here, and I promise you we will meet again. She is. I kind of see you getting back to music. I want you to be picking up a guitar, Peter. Would that be correct?
exactly right.
Okay. But I want you to be picking up this guitar and just finding that interest again, you know?
Yes, I have been.
And she's tapping her feet away here with you, saying,
Yeah,
good, 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 this is because this is giving you a little bit more interest. I want to talk about as well connections with people of the past. You've been in touch with people that were in your past, please?
Not recently that I can remember.
Okay. Have you been looking at this or talking about this? Because I want to talk about people going back, not in the too far distance,
Right.
just redoing remaking these connections.
Yes, I did. I did speak to someone that was in the past that I hadn't spoken to for quite a long while. So yes, I did do that. Apologise for
Right,
that.
okay. Because I just knew that this wasn't wrong in this way.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And I feel like I still want these connections um, back to um, my old place. Did you come from Romford?
Yes.
Because I just heard Romford.
Romford.
Okay,
That's right.
all right. Are
Exactly
you
right.
looking to connect with Romford again or something? I'm not
Um,
talking of moving.
no. The one of the chaps I used to work with lives in that area, and I speak to
Um,
him every so often.
right. Okay. All right. So you speak to him every often, so there's still that connection to Romford.
Yes, there's still a connection to Romford. Yes.
Can I just say, your wife said, "Now I've told you, you listen to me, I'm right." You know, so she remembers these things,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
She
and
was.
she always did have a good memory.
Yeah.
But that, you know, um, but she's just thankful that, you're still plodding along. She says you're still doing well, you're still you, and she loves that, So she just really wanted to come this evening to you, Peter, and just say that love's still there.
Yeah.
You never need to worry about that. That
Uh,
bond is always there. You're stronger than you think you are. Find these old pursuits and bring them back to life because
yes.
this inspired you. This gave you drive, and that's what you need. So I'll leave you with that message and just say
That's
thank you for that
lovely.
communication. God bless
Thank you,
you.
Chris. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. I do want to talk about um, a mother that comes forward here. And as I connect with this mother, I'm just going to say I don't believe she was all love and light, I'm afraid to say. But she's being honest here that I do believe that she could have made life quite difficult to you. And for you, sorry. And I do feel that you had to grow up pretty sharpish. There was no option with this lady. She really kind of made me feel that sometimes you could have felt like you were a bit of an inconvenience with her. She didn't love you in the way or show you love that a mother perhaps should have done at that time. But I do fully believe that towards the end of her life, things got a little better because she needed you. Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have Allison with her hand raised. And we have three ladies, Chris.
Okay.
Four
All
ladies.
right. Four late. Oh, they're growing. Okay.
Okay.
So it is important that you understand with your mother here, that although everything was difficult through life, that at the end, she desperately needed your help and we had to let go. Although I don't believe the word sorry was truly mentioned, but that um, we came to an understanding. So we're all still with that.
Ladies, if you can keep all of that information, keep your hand raised. There's 5 people with their hands raised right now.
Okay. Let me view the names here, please. Can you put
Yep.
the names up?
Yep. Hang on one second. We have Allison, Sherry, Kim, Pam, and
Oh,
Rachel.
I'm Rachel. Okay. Can I just go with Alison first, please? Alison,
Yes.
could you unmute yourself, please? Others still, please listen. You'd have to understand all that information and it has to be a yes. Would that be, would you understand that?
Yes.
Thank you. Would you understand that your mother kind of saw you as a minor inconvenience?
Yes.
All right. And yet, you know, I just feel that I've just got to say, it was this, she admitted she was your mother. There was the mother, but there wasn't quite the mother's love there. Would that be correct?
Yes.
You know, she made me believe here that she was more interested in herself and her own pursuits. Yes or
Yes.
no? And that how the world saw her. You know, please forgive me, but in my mind, which is a good job you can't see in there, but she gives me this set of something like a femme fatale. Would that make sense to you?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I just thought I was dreaming a bit there. But what I have to say when I say that, I do believe your mother was a bit of a dreamer. Do you understand that to be correct?
She was not a dreamer.
She was a dreamer,
Oh,
a
yes.
bit of a dreamer, you
Yes.
know,
Correct.
that she was living in this lifestyle that really. Hello, Alison?
I didn't hear you. I'm
You
sorry. We
broke
got,
up for a second,
yeah, we got
Chris.
broken up there.
Okay, all right. I forgot what I said now. Sorry. Okay. I just feel that she was living in this dream life, you know, where she was a different person, she had a different life to actually what. But yet, I know that you would have been more realistic, that you would have tried to keep your feet very firmly on that ground. Would that be correct?
Yes. Yes, kind of. I mean, I wasn't
Okay.
very firmly on the ground, but I tried.
You tried. Well, I did say try, so that's good. I'll accept that. But I do feel that I want to talk about you having to grow up far beyond, many years beyond what you actually were in your actual years.
Yes.
You know, I know platitudes won't cut it and all of this, but she does say, I just want to say to you that I see what I've done. I now know what I did and how I was, and that this was not deserving. You know, I
Yes.
didn't deserve you as a daughter because, you know, you deserve so much more than she ever could have offered. And for that, she just wants to send so much love to you. And, you know, she deserved to say sorry because she just doesn't feel it's right, but she's going to say sorry. You know, you've become something she could never be. You've become authentic to you. Would you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. So will you accept that love from her and the gratitude she wants to give you for being the better person, the bigger person? And she says that with love. Thank you for working with me.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you very much. God bless.
You're welcome. Goodbye.
Wow.
Sorry, I went over there a little bit there, Sandra.
It's quite all right, Chris. Thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to press your raise hand button just to send Chris some love for the years being in service to both sides of the veil. Now, I do need to say at the very first reading, Geraldine typed to me in the chat box. She could also take that information about the boy. So this is just one of those cases like Chris said. And then also I do know there's a significant amount of people that had that relationship with their moms, and whether it's mother or someone else, that there's conversations that never ever happened. I do 100% believe when we get to the spirit world, we get to see a bigger version of life and the impact of our actions. And so while they might not have voiced apologies, please know that there's going to be a big hug waiting for you and a good conversation, and they can see the bigger picture and now see life through your eyes. All right. I am close now to 750 different episodes about the afterlife through We Don't Die and through Shades of the Afterlife. And 100%, I know that our loved ones cheer us on, that they're with us, that love remains. Our personalities remain too, which is so darn cool. The sense of humor and all that, but they're with us. So keep talking to them. You can set a place at the table if you like for them. Look at their picture. And when you least expect it, sometimes you'll get a shared memory that just pops in out of the blue. That's them. It's just little calling cards from spirit. All right. So they're very much alive. So just a little bit more about Chris. He's got a fabulous book called A Life Far from Ordinary, My Life with Spirit. It's an easy read and just so nourishing to the soul. You can also find out more about Chris at his website, chrisjacobsmedium.co.uk. It's our good friend Chris. Now, while our tutors are all away this week, our next few weeks actually, our friends Tim and Shirley Ann are carrying on the medium and psychic practices. You can join them on Thursdays for Awakening Your Spirit Connections. Everything's recorded. You can join live or you can watch the replays. This coming Sunday, medium Dominic Bogue is back, as is Darren, and the three of us, we call ourselves the Three Amigos, will be back for the next Sunday gathering. On the 14th of July, Scott Milligan is back, and we start our July class of Trance and the Altered States, a beautiful opportunity to just learn to slow down that busy mind and feel the love from the unseen world. No experience necessary. You don't ever need to be a medium, but it's just a very joyful class. Also on the 18th of July, we are back for In the Arms of Eternity, where you can witness and be part of a trance medium demonstration. Kath and Mitch Shirley are back on the 31st of July for what's called the Grief Cafe. It's 90 minutes with people that care, and they're both advanced grief recovery specialists as well as mediums. So there's much more going on. You can check out everything at wedon'tdie.com. You can click on the store page. You can click on the Sunday Gathering page. You can watch tons of past Sunday gatherings and register for upcoming ones. Those of you who donated to make our Sunday gathering possible, thank you to you. We appreciate it. Should you ever care to donate to our Sunday gathering, you can find that at the Sunday Gathering page. Also on the homepage, I've got 3 brand new podcasts. One is with Karen McLean with some extraordinary signs from her brother in spirit. A real special conversation. You just heard the voice of Pete. Well, Pete and his friend John are also a guest on We Don't Die Radio on our most recent episode, talking about the USB, which is the Universal Spiritual Brotherhood and Sisterhood 60-year mission to share the truths from spirit. Great conversation. And on Shades of the Afterlife, I have a special one called Spiritual Independence Day that goes hand in hand with our Sunday gathering today. Lots of stories of soldiers' near-death experiences. Not only that, but George Washington had a spiritually transformative experience, being in touch with an angel, seeing like a foreshadowing of the country to be if he took certain actions. Did you know Abe Lincoln and his wife had a medium to the White House? Some pretty good stories on that. So that's on Shades of the Afterlife. So I want to read you something I prepared this morning for our words of the week. As you go forward into your week, I want you to leave with a simple image to hold in your heart. Think about the cars you have known in your life. That first car that tasted of freedom, or that beloved old family car with dents that told stories and seats that held memories. Our bodies are like that. They are precious temporary vehicles we are given for this grand road trip called life. And on a long road trip, the car will naturally get some wear and tear. It will get a few dents from unexpected bumps in the road. It will get some scratches and weathering life's storms. And sometimes the engine won't run as smoothly as it once did. But I want you to remember this profound and liberating truth. You are not the car. You are the driver. Your true self, your consciousness, your beautiful eternal self is the one behind the wheel. The dents are just experiences, not your identity. The wear and tear is just proof of a journey well traveled. So this week, when you feel limited by your body, by your worries, or by the challenges of the day, I invite you to take a deep breath in and remember who is really in charge. You are the eternal driver on a magnificent road trip. Treat your vehicle with kindness, but don't forget to enjoy the view. And always know that at the end of this beautiful road, your journey does not end. You simply get to park the car, turn off the engine, step out, and experience the glorious, weightless, ultimate independence you were always meant for. Now, here's just two quotes that I think you'll love. Angela Blount said, "Sometimes the most scenic roads in life are the detours you didn't mean to take." And Hunter Thompson said, "Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely to a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, 'Wow, what a ride.'" So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris for our closing prayer.
Thanks, Sarah. I love that. That was very apt. Thank you. If you'd like to join me now as we bring this evening to a close, Divine Source, giver of all strength and wisdom, let us end this time together and ask for your blessings upon the path ahead. Fill our hearts with unwavering courage to face whatever challenges that await us. When the road grows steep and our steps feel uncertain, remind us that within us we carry that light that cannot be extinguished. Grant us the strength to rise above our fears and the wisdom to see clearly through confusion, and that faith to trust in the journey, even when we cannot see our destination. May we walk forward not in our own power alone, but sustained by your endless grace. In faith and in hope and gratitude, we offer this prayer. Amen.
Thank you so much, Chris. Now, don't miss our closing song that I'm going to play, but just a quick thank you to Chris, to you, to our friends and loved ones in the spirit world. Thanks for being here. All right. It's no secret that I love birds and I've turned into a crazy bird lady. This is a video I played once before, and it's a guy in France that you can ride in an ultralight with him. And I've added music to one of my favorite songs. It's Jeffrey Osborne, "On the Wings of Love." So please enjoy this video and this song. I think you'll love it. I absolutely love, love, love that. All right, friends, we'll see you next Sunday, if not before. Thanks again to Chris. Thank you, everyone. Love you all.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.